Hi, I wanted to spend a little time with the Revival Drive Hot Rod Edition by Origin Effects. This is a great pedal. I'm not really a pedal guy, but I was sold on this one. This is not meant to be a comprehensive overview of the whole pedal. I advise you to check out Origin Effects' own YouTube videos and maybe even Rabia Masad. He's the one that pretty much sold it to me. Great player, great sounds. You'll probably love the thing. And I just wanted to show you a little configuration that I have here that isn't very costly and gives you some interesting results. So what I have is the Origin Effects Revival Drive, not the custom edition. There is a difference between the custom edition and this one. I may be getting the custom edition and I might put this up on Reverb because I'm a tweaker and I love the tweakings abilities here. And what the custom edition has is basically another whole set of these down here. Excuse me. And this is a equalization for the pedal. The standard, which is what I have, only has what you see right here. This is basically two pedals in one, and most of this you'll get from other videos, but just to go over a little bit of the basics. One side is a silicon rectifier, and one side is a silicon rectifier, and one side is a tube rectifier. You can set a dip switch. It also has dip switches, which is another. It's highly configurable, and for a tweaker like me, this is great. And another thing is it just really can fit on the front end of just about anything. In fact, probably anything, especially if you have the custom edition. There's a dip switch in the front that you can use to set both of them to silicon. You can't set both of them to tube, but that's cool. It's built like a tank. It's very quiet, has a ton of headroom. Really feels like a quality piece. Of course, it's not cheap, but this is one case where you really ought to feel, you really do get the sense that you are paying for something that's worth every penny. It's so much, in fact, that I'm even considering upgrading to the custom edition. So what I have here, excuse me, what I have here is the Revival Drive going into a Valetron Coral Cab. I don't know if you've seen these. They're you can look them up on the net. Amazon has them. They're sub $100, probably $60 or $70, and it's an IR cabinet simulator. You can't put your own IRs in it. That's why it's so cheap. But it has a selection. It has a pretty good selection. I've found about three or four that I particularly like, and for the money, that's well worth it to me. I may consider upgrading to the Radar to put my own IRs in it. But anyway, just as a test run, I picked this up, and I also already had this Zoom 50G, which in itself is not a bad pedal, especially for how old it is, but I'm using it only for effects on this, although it can be used as the amp for the Revival Drive. And in fact, it makes a pretty good combination. It's pretty flexible. So it's, if you have one of these, then you basically have, between the two of them, an amplifier simulator. You could go right out of the stereo out, which is another thing that's nice about this. It's stereo out. Right now I have reverb and, let's see, I have little analog delay, slow mono delay way in the back, and a little reverb. Let's turn this off. You can hear the So that's excuse me. That's the Revival Drive into the Coral Cab with a little bit of reverb and a long delay. Right into a Behringer UMC 404 HD, and then into a Mac. Now, if you some of the noise you're hearing is from the iPad. If I get the guitar too close to the iPad, it gets noisy. Basically, there's no noise reduction involved here, which is another thing that has put me off. I use positive grid bias effects, and I like it a lot, but it brings a lot of hiss, and to me the noise level is really hard to control. On this now, right now, there's no noise reduction. We're on the high gain channel. And that's all you're getting. To me, that's part of a quality construction. And I have made a small effort to make sure that I have, a decent, clean signal going into this thing, but I haven't really broken my neck trying to do it. Where were we? Oh, okay. So I would advise you to check out the Revival Drive on another on their Origin website or the Origin Origin Effects YouTube channel, just to get more info on the details and everything. But philosophically, if you don't know about the drive already, and you're thinking about checking into it, the cool thing about it, there are many cool things about it, but one of the cool things about it is that you can put this at the front end of so many different rigs. And if you have any interest in tweaking, if you're not a tweaker by nature, but you know your way around a little bit, and you are willing to invest a little bit of time, this thing will probably get you a great sound in just about anything you could plug it into. And that to me was a big selling point. That and the quality of the distortion electronics that are in it. It has a lot of headroom. It has a good harmonic content. It's pleasing distortion. It cleans up real nice when you roll the volume back. It has usable controls. It only has a low control as far as a dial in the top section. It doesn't have a real brightness control or treble. You can use the more and presence, and that those both have effects, but they're not really like presence and treble that you would find on an amplifier front end. If you turn it to the left, you will find that your volume before distortion really goes down, so you'll get distortion quickly for your. So if I push this down. It kind of cleans it up to the right, and it kind of dirties it up to the left, and you can hear the gain getting dumped in there, and when the noise level comes up a little bit in the background. The center position is without any, obviously a null position. The bass control works in a great way too. All the way down, it doesn't roll off all the bottom end. It just, I don't know, if you looked at it as a graphic, it would probably be a nice narrowish kind of a bump, maybe around 70 or 80, just to give you a nice little funk without making it filthy. Well, that's all the way off. That's on the silicon channel. You're hearing my guitar a little bit in the background. So there's plenty of bottom there, and if you hear it, you can hear it you can hear the bottom change. It gets wider, draws in more low frequency bandwidth as you turn it up, along with the gain. There's halfway. Here's all the way off. And all the way up. It's a little floppy, but it's there for you. There's that iPad again making noise. Let's see. Oh, the ghosting. Some of these things are really subtle and hard to sort of, you really have to kind of be listening with headphones and paying attention to really hear some of this. But it has a great oral effect on people. Like, you can really feel it when you play it, and people will hear the difference. But it's more sublime. It has to do with the electronics of a tube amp. When you wind up a tube amp, when you dime it all out, the power supply, the way the current comes from the wall and is fed to the rest of the circuits, is of course taxed to the maximum, and the capacity of the electronics in a head, or the amp section, start to act a little differently when you start to really demand a lot of them. So you will get these artifacts, and part of what you'll get some AC riding in there, mixing in there with some of the audio, and this will duplicate that effect. It's really great to have, and it really, when you're really tweaking it and you're getting it where you really like it, you will hear right away what that starts to do. And sometimes, like for a solo or something, or maybe some delicate work where you want to add some character, that effect is very impressive. I'm going to turn it up all the way, and you really notice it more on the high notes. What you want to listen for is a subharmonic note, a subharmonic to the main. All right, now that's a truck driving by, so we'll wait for that. You hear it? I don't know if it happens as much in the bottom end. Yeah, it's in there. Now if we turn it out, turn it all the way up again. So that's really that's paying attention to detail, and something that really, in my estimation, gives this pedal an edge, and it's the kind of thing I'm looking for, if I'm going to invest in a pedal. And this is an investment. This thing is around $500, closer to $7 for the one that's the custom. This is a store demo that I got from Sweetwater at a reduced price. Great service from Sweetwater, highly recommended. So if you can find a used one, or if you're trying, it's not the kind of thing you're gonna want. It's an investment. Let's put it that way. But I don't buy pedals. The pedals you see here, I've had this Zoom I've had for probably over 10 years, This was a recent purchase, but it's 60 bucks, and I have a Boss tuner. I mean, I don't really invest in pedals, but I find this one really, really, really good. The excuse me, the reamping EQ here gives you the flexibility to use so many different amps. Use this in the front of so many different amps. It's 3 different EQ curves. Power amp being the most flat. Here, I'll show you. That's power amp. This is EQ 2. This is EQ 1. 1, 2, 3. That's like your overall place to go if you're trying to hook this up to an amp and you're trying to search for your sound, try to match it up. Find a reamp position that gives you enough flexibility everywhere else to sort of dial it in. Now, what's everywhere else? Well, you have a high shelf and a bright cap cut. These are very powerful too. The bright cap cut really is probably the thing you're going to go after if you're getting fizz. If you're getting that awful direct fuzz sound, which I don't have here, of course, because I dialed it out and pretty heavily. So if I put it in, let's put it in all the way. I mean, you know, my hearing's not that bad yet, but you hear the effect. So I've basically... It's almost off. Now next to that you have the high shelf. And it's a shelf, of course, so it affects a little section of frequencies. I would say probably high mids. So I have a little bit of that dialed in right now. It's about 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So let's put that all the way out. You hear it softens it up. Sounds good, and it just takes a little of the edge off. But let's turn it all the way up so you can hear what that sounds like. You can hear it changing the sound of the noise level. Probably right around in the 2K area. So I want some bite, but I don't want to bleed. Let's see if I want a little top. I think that's a little too bright there. Let's shut those down just a little bit. Sounds good. Sorry, you're getting a little bit of that from the mic. I'll keep turning this mic down, but I hope you can still hear me. This is for overdrive and clean signal. Interesting thing about the clean signal is you can set a dip switch here to allow the preamp to affect the clean signal, but not when it's disengaged. Only when you have one channel or both channels set to dry, which you're not going to do, but one channel, if you had your clean sound set to dry, you have the benefit of the preamp section to be used on the dry signal. And you can set the gain of that. You can match the gain of your dry signal down here in this center adjustment. Next to that, there's a mid boost. You can use a mid boost, but you can only assign that to one channel or the other. I don't think you can engage that for both channels. And that is pretty familiar. Right now I have it disengaged. Again, we're on the silicon side here. Now, if you zero it out, it still has an effect. Right now it's zeroed out. You heard it, but you heard it come in, right? So you can hear it has a nice lift in the mid-range there. If you which can be engaged with a foot switch if you have the external foot switch, I believe, which I don't have. But see, the switch assigns it to whichever side you want. So right there, that's just with it all the way off, and it still obviously has an effect. Now, if we sweep it, let's peak the amplitude. You really hear it in that last quarter. Now let's check the frequency from left to right, from 0 to full. So you see what you got there is another potential use for tweaking in your sound. It doesn't cut. There's no cut. It's only add. So, there's that. Now, over here on each side, you also have a preamp selector and a bright cap selection. One side being more of a Fender, the other side being more of a Vox Marshall, I guess. The bright cap has a more subtle effect, kind of like a bright switch. Very hard to hear. Let me see if I can. Gives you a little more pluck there than the Great Britain sound. Makes a difference, though. You'll really feel it when you're playing. The preamp is more noticeable, of course, because it's a preamp section. Here's the Great Britain sound. Let me turn off my mic. Okay, let's see. Did I show you the reamp EQ effects? This is power amp. This is EQ2. This is EQ1. I think I did show you that because that's the first place you're probably going to want to go when you're setting up the front end here. I guess that's about all I had to say. I mean, the thing, like I said, this is just a cabinet. This is an 810 simulator. I've got it set for an 810. I guess I could go through those if you're interested. Let's see. Let's look at another cab. I'm going to go through the cabs and turn this mic off. Now, for instance, on this last cabinet, a little muddy. You could, where's the first place you might want to go? Bright cap, high shelf, maybe? So now when we go back to the cab that I had, it should be too bright. So you get an idea how you can dial things in. See, the bottom sounded a little flubby there. That's better. Let's see. Let me show you the gain level. Let me turn this mic on. Here's the tube rectifier. How about some effect? How about some air? Well, I mean, I could just go on because the thing is so much fun to play. Uh, I hope you enjoyed this or it helped you in any way. Sometimes, I put stuff on. I've got YouTube playing on the TV in the living room sometimes, and I just like to, watch videos, and sometimes I don't mind if they go on for a while, really. So I hope this was somehow helpful to you. I highly recommend the drive. I only just now found out about it. It's been around for a while. And if you like, give a shout out to the people over at Sweetwater, or not. This is not compensated in any way. I'm not getting any compensation for any of this stuff on YouTube. So happy guitaring, and like and subscribe. I suppose that would help me reach more people. And enjoy guitaring and enjoy music. Stay safe.